A warm welcome to our viewers here in Nigeria and around the world. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Here's what's coming up within the half hour. Spanish authorities step in to maintain the peace in Ceuta enclave following a night of chaos and violence. The United Nations strongly condemns the last missile and drone attack on the Ukrainian capital Kyiv by the Russian Federation Armed Forces. Plus, 4 climbers dead and another 6 feared missing after an avalanche on Broad Peak in Pakistan. Hello again and welcome to the program. Now, Spain is dealing with a major immigration crisis after thousands of people, numbering up to 60,000, surged into its enclave of Ceuta, the administered enclave by Spain. They are mostly from Morocco, which shares a strip of land leading to the enclave. At least 34 people died while making the swim across, but thousands more were able to make it. Authorities say nearly 50,000 people reportedly crossed from Morocco in a single day, overwhelming the enclave as videos of the extraordinary scenes swept across social media. The influx comes after Spain's Supreme Court ruled that migrants stopped at sea while trying to reach Ceuta or Melilla, another Spanish enclave, cannot be summarily returned to Morocco. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez described the situation as an attack and said all illegal migrants would be returned to Morocco as soon as possible. Several European leaders have expressed concern, some promising to tighten border controls. UK Prime Minister Andy Burnham and the French President Emmanuel Macron offered to help Spain. Ceuta, on Morocco's northern coast, is separated from mainland Spain by the Strait of Gibraltar. It's been long a focal point for migrants attempting to reach Europe. Ceuta's President Juan Jesus Vivas said the situation was unsustainable and that the recent arrivals amounted to about 70% of the city's population, which sits at around 83,600 according to latest local figures. Meanwhile, Spain is intensifying talks with northern and western African partners after this unprecedented migrant surge into the enclave of Ceuta. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez says Madrid is working closely with Morocco, Mauritania, and Senegal to tackle human trafficking networks and address migration pressures across a region facing growing instability. The crisis has sparked wider debate across Europe, with some governments calling for stricter controls, while the European Union warns that border rules must be respected. As Spain balances humanitarian concerns with security demands, authorities are now seeking a coordinated regional response to prevent another surge along Europe's southern frontier. To other issues now, the United Nations is demanding an immediate halt to escalating violence in Ukraine after a major Russian missile and drone assault struck Kyiv and other Ukrainian cities. UN officials say the attacks killed at least 12 civilians, including 3 children. It also injured more than 100 others, with homes, schools, and civilian infrastructure damaged across several regions. The UN Secretary General has strongly condemned the strikes, renewing calls for urgent de-escalation and a full, immediate, and unconditional ceasefire. Humanitarian teams are now responding on the ground, providing emergency shelter, medical aid, psychological support, and essential supplies to affected communities. UN partners and the Ukrainian Red Cross have mobilized in areas including Kyiv, Lviv, and Dnipro. Despite the ongoing attacks, the United Nations says humanitarian operations continue across Ukraine, with aid groups reaching nearly 2.5 million people with assistance so far this year.
Supported by UN agencies, quickly turning to Ukraine, the Secretary General strongly condemns the latest overnight missile and drone attack by the armed forces of the Russian Federation on Kiev and other Ukrainian cities, which reportedly resulted in many civilian casualties and widespread destruction of civilian infrastructure. Any attacks against civilians and civilian infrastructure, wherever they occur, are a clear violation of international humanitarian law and must stop immediately. The Secretary General reiterates his call for urgent de-escalation, leading to a full, immediate, and unconditional ceasefire. The UN Human Rights Monitoring Mission in Ukraine is at the attack sites to verify these reports. Following these attacks, our partners on the ground, the Ukrainian Red Cross Society and NGOs supported by UN agencies, quickly mobilized to provide first aid, psychosocial support, emergency shelter assistance, and other assistance to affected residents in the Dnipro region, Lviv, and Kiev, complementing the efforts of local emergency services and local authorities.
Europe is experiencing the second extreme heat wave this summer, and as temperatures across the continent rise, wildfires are spreading in France, Spain, and other major countries. Health experts are warning that higher temperatures are creating the perfect conditions for infectious diseases to spread across Europe. Now, the European Centre for Disease Prevention and Control has warned the risk of infectious disease is growing amid longer and warmer summers across Europe. Lars Holtz is with the Deutsche Welle. He joins me now from Berlin. Lars, a great opportunity to see you again. What's the latest you're hearing about those wildfires? Lars, I hope you can hear me. I said, what's the latest you're hearing about those wildfires in Europe?
It's hard to keep track, actually. Over the past few days, we're seeing wildfires spread rapidly and also new fires starting in different parts of Europe. The worst fires right now are certainly the ones in France. Just the main fire near the city of Bordeaux led to almost 250,000 people being evacuated. Some villages have burned down. Those who remain in their houses in a somewhat safe distance can only leave their house wearing masks. There's new fires a bit further north near the Loire Valley, near the town of Dijon as well, and even a few miles south of Paris. And then there's also Spain, where more than 10,000 people had to be evacuated from their homes. The Spanish and the French governments have both said that the fires were the largest in their country's recent history. But there's also fires in Greece and in Turkey, and even here in Germany, where we've enjoyed a much more moderate climate in the past. We're seeing wildfires in several states now that are becoming harder to deal with, as we're experiencing strong winds in some areas, with sparks flying and possibly igniting further fires.
Wow. Does this seem to be an isolated incident in a very dry year, or is there a danger that these wildfires could become more common?
Yeah, no one is really treating this as a one-off event. As a matter of fact, a lot of what we're experiencing right now aligns with warnings we've been hearing from climate scientists for decades. Looking closely at the current fires, we can see that they're part of a spiral that in and by itself makes matters worse. Scientists are pointing out how some of the current fires impact the weather around them. For example, they are leading to clouds right above that meteorologists call pyrocumulonimbus clouds that are loaded with ice particles that lead to lightning and possibly even more fires than on the ground. It's almost apocalyptic. We're also hearing that even when foresters think that the woods can recover relatively fast after a fire with more trees growing back in, that it just creates more food for future wildfires during the next dry spell, as those young trees will then be small and burn more easily than the old and fully grown trees that are currently on fire. Also, each wildfire releases tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which itself, of course, helps heat up the planet. So it's a circle of doom, really, that we're caught in with no easy way out. So one can clearly say that warmer temperatures, extreme heat waves, very dry summers, and wildfires are likely going to be the new normal here.
Wow. So as we wrap this up, Lars, what is the government doing then to break the cycle and help prevent wildfires in the future?
There's a two-pronged approach. On the one side, governments are coordinating their efforts to jointly fight wildfires, investing into more helicopters and planes to help fight the flames, including with wildfire kits made by Airbus that can relatively quickly reconfigure military transport planes for that particular job. But then there's the very slow process of hopefully fighting back in terms of climate policy. Here in Germany, for example, cities and states have asked Berlin to invest billions in efforts to make cities greener, plant trees, take out asphalt wherever possible, because it contributes to cities heating up. Also, they're working hard on adopting a more climate-friendly energy policy, use more renewable energy. But all of these efforts, honestly, have begun a long time ago. They haven't been done with the appropriate intensity. They haven't gone far enough. And now we're paying the price, and we certainly will continue to do so for a long time.
That's a very harrowing future there. Lars Holter with Deutsche Welle, thank you again for speaking with us. We're off in a short break now on The World Today, still ahead on the program. Animal lovers converging on Bangkok for the Tech Expo Championship 2026. They're learning innovations and expert service for pets of all kinds. Stay with us. Welcome back. Over now to the immigration crisis in South Africa. The country's International Relations Minister, Ronald Lamola, says the government has a sovereign right to enforce its immigration laws, while insisting that authorities will not tolerate violence or vigilantism. He was making the comments on the sidelines of an AU meeting in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. He says the security situation from the protests and attacks on foreigners has largely stabilized, and the police have arrested over 82 people nationwide for offenses including looting, vandalism, and taking the law into their own hands. Mr. Lamola's remarks follow a petition by 2 Ghanaian nationals urging the International Criminal Court to investigate the attacks as possible crimes against humanity. Ghana has also raised concerns over the violence at the African Union, while Nigeria has voiced similar objections.
We also briefed them about the current situation in migration in South Africa, that now the situation has stabilized, there has been isolated incidents, and that there is now a process that the IMC is undertaking to ensure that irregular migration is addressed. Like any other country, they all agree that South Africa, like any other country, has a sovereign right to enforce its own immigration laws. The issue they all raise, as I always say, is the violence, sometimes the isolated incidents that do happen. And we also briefed them that our law enforcement agency is on top of the situation. They've already arrested about 82 people countrywide in relation to them taking the law into their own hands, including offenses of looting, of vandalism of property, and so forth, which shows the firm hand that the South African government has put in this matter.
Staying in South Africa, the Nigerian Consulate General in Johannesburg has confirmed the death of a Nigerian citizen and is working with the family and relevant authorities as investigations continue. Our South Africa correspondent Innocent Samosa sat down with the Consul General to provide an update on the case and the support being offered to Nigerians in the country.
The death of 42-year-old Ibe Chika Simon comes at a time of heightened diplomatic tensions between South Africa and Nigeria, following allegations that Nigerians have been targeted in acts of xenophobic violence. I sat down with Nigeria's Consul General in Johannesburg, Ninikanwa Oke Uche.
The case is currently under investigation. We do know we've lost him. We do know he's one of our brothers. And we do know that the circumstances are questionable. Right now, the IPID, Independent Police Investigation Directorate or Department, I believe, IPID has taken over the case, and we're quite happy to see there's activity, because we have a lot of cases that have not been taken up and have not been resolved. So I think the responsible thing to do is to actually wait for the outcome of their investigation. But already we do know that there is alleged foul play, bruises to the chest and the back. You know, there are marks that were on his body that were not self-inflicted.
The Nigerian mission says it is engaging South African authorities in providing consular assistance to Nigerians living in South Africa.
Well, that is an interesting question. I wish I had the power to ensure not only that we would have a thorough investigation, but that our people will stop being killed under questionable circumstances. We don't have that power. That's why we look up to the South African government and the authorities to put a stop to all of this.
With a heavy heart, she read out the names of Nigerian nationals who lost their lives, allegedly at the hands of the police over the years.
Ibe Chika Simon might be who we're talking about today because it's recent. We have over 20 others. We want justice for all. All of these lives matter. I've gone as far as mentioning these names today because we mustn't forget their names. And the only thing I would tell my people is the same thing we always say: you must remain calm, you must be law-abiding, you must avoid crime and criminality. We need to live right, not just at home, but abroad as well.
The Nigerian consulate says it remains committed to ensuring that the matter is treated with dignity. Ambassador Nini Kanwa Oke Uche, Consulate General of Nigeria in South Africa, Johannesburg, said that she's sailing with the words from her Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu, quote unquote, "Our citizens abroad must feel the presence, responsiveness and protection of their government through our mission." From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samos, Channels Television News.
A major development has emerged in the conflict in Gaza, with U.S. President Donald Trump announcing what he describes as an agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas. President Trump says the deal represents a critical step towards a future where Gaza would be governed by a new Palestinian administration. However, questions remain over whether the agreement can hold, as Hamas says, and any surrender of weapons depends on Israel ending military operations and withdrawing from the territory. Israel has not yet publicly responded, but U.S. officials say Washington experts expects the withdrawal components of the agreement to move forward. The potential breakthrough addresses one of the biggest obstacles in previous peace negotiations: Hamas' refusal to give up its armed capabilities. The proposal forms part of the next phase of a U.S.-backed ceasefire framework aimed at reshaping Gaza's future governance, but uncertainty remains over implementation and whether both sides will meet their commitments. A rare and dramatic weather spectacle has captured attention in the Philippines after multiple water sprouts were spotted forming over Laguna de Bay near Pia in Rizal province. Twin water spouts stretch from dark storm clouds towards the water, with additional vortexes appearing in the distance, creating a rare formation of up to 5 columns. Known locally as the Now, although this phenomena are common in some tropical regions, meteorologists say the seeing several water sprouts appear together is an unusual event for the Philippines. A striking display quickly spread online, offering a dramatic reminder of the powerful and unpredictable forces of nature. A deadly avalanche struck Pakistan's Broad Peak, leaving 4 climbers confirmed dead and 6 others feared missing in one of the world's most dangerous mountain regions. The international expedition team was climbing the 8,047-meter peak in the Karakoram range when the avalanche hit on Thursday. Rescue teams recovered 4 bodies, with 2 identified as climbers from Oman and Nepal, while search operations have been temporarily suspended due to the worsening weather conditions. Among those involved is legendary Nepal-born mountaineer Nimel Purja, who made history in 2019 by climbing all 14 of the world's highest mountains above 8,000 meters in record time. Pakistan's military has deployed rescue helicopters, specialized equipment and personnel as authorities continue efforts to locate the survivors. Broad Peak, known for its extreme conditions and technical challenges, remains one of the planet's most formidable summits, where dozens of climbers have lost their lives over the decades. And that will be all on The World Today. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani.
Yes, Abia is rising from the ashes and doing so with speed. Governor Alex Otis' signature of transformation is being seen and felt in every nook and cranny of Abia, to the joy and excitement of Abia people. The Port Harcourt Road Aba, that was in a state of absolute disrepair and dilapidation for over 25 years, has been recovered with speed through Julius Berger, thus bringing economic activities that were dead back to life and giving the people a reason to celebrate. Little wonder the Aba business community and residents of the area staged what they called Promise Kept Carnival to celebrate the feat. For close to 30 years, Ohanko and environs became a ghetto that served the people nothing but sorrow, anguish and death. The people neither had access, amenities nor security. The reactions of the people during the commissioning by the President and Commander-in-Chief, His Excellency Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, ably represented by the Honorable Minister for Works, His Excellency Engineer Dave Umahi, in company of Governor Alex Otis, spoke loudly about their excitement and gratitude to their governor. For over 2 decades, the people of Abia North Senatorial District literally went through hell to visit their homes, while those living in the rural areas suffered to evacuate their farm produce. With Governor Otis' vision, swiftness and decisiveness, the 67-kilometer Umahia, Uzuakoli, Aberiba Ohafia Road has become a beautiful spectacle, following his decision to unleash 3 reputable construction companies simultaneously on the road, which saw it delivered in record time. With the construction of the legendary Omenuko Bridge that had been a death trap for over 4 decades and consumed several lives, including the children of late Dr. Omar Bai, the old saying that there is no easy route to Arochukwu has been permanently erased, while the fear associated with traveling to Aro and Ohafia local government areas from that route has become a thing of the past. The Aba that was referenced as a dirty and lawless city today wears a glorious and alluring look of cleanliness, sanity, security, and order, courtesy of Governor Otis' transformation. No wonder the UN Habitat invited representatives of the government to Egypt to come and tell the Abia story of cleanliness. The siege of criminality on Abia State, which saw the prelates of Methodist Church in Nigeria and other clerics kidnapped at Lokbanta in Umunochi local government area of the state in 2022, has